Welcome to another Intro to Excel video. As always, I am David Itel, and let's get going on the review of basic navigation. It's hard to explain cellular navigation and all the different options that exist in Excel without showing you some of the kind of key elements that we'll be discussing in a lot of our videos. Let's get started with basic navigation. When you're looking at the Excel system, it seems like it's just a grid, right? A series of cells or blocks that are next to each other in a vertical and horizontal pattern. That's how it looks, but how we reference it in our formulas and in other functions is really the brilliance of this program. You can see that we have columns up here at the top and we have rows over here on the left. Our columns are labeled using a alphabetic system and our rows are numerical. If you want to get to the bottom of an Excel spreadsheet, like you want to go far down, all you have to do is do Control Shift and then down, and it will take you and select everything that's down there. You can see it would take us all the way down. You can also grab an entire column. If you just click on the whole column, like for instance, if we click C here and hit copy or Control C, go over to N and hit Control V, we got it all moved over. So you'll see a lot of these basic functions or navigation techniques used in my other videos. I'll typically reference columns or cells, columns or rows, and then specific cells. Like for instance, if we click here on this number 1, we're at K4, which can also be seen up here in this box right here, K4. You can actually special reference certain cells, and we'll talk about that in a much later video. But identifying a cell or giving it a name or coordinates is really, really important. It also comes into play when it comes to formulas and cell referencing there. Let me give you a quick example. You've probably maybe seen our average video, or you'll see the average video coming up. If we hit average and we average 1 to 7, and I can automatically select the entire data set there by holding Control Shift and sitting down like that. You can see the average is 4 when we write the initial equation. Let's say we wanted to pull that equation down across this whole series. We would just grab this little plus button. You can see it turns black when we hover over it, and we would just pull that down. And for some reason, the average changes. Right? Shouldn't it continue to be 4 all the way down? Well, that's because our cell referencing didn't get locked. You can see right here we have K3 to K10, but on the next cell we have K4 to K11. The actual data is slowly moving as we pulled the formula down. To do that, we lock cell referencing. And cell referencing is just demonstrated like this, K3 to K10. So it's the beginning or the start of the reference and the end of the reference. And it can even be like this. It can be multiple columns, like J3 to K10. Again, that's how we map things out in Excel. If we wanted to lock in K3 as our top, we'd hit F4 there, and the F4 locks in that cell reference. Now, if we hit enter again and drag the formula down, what you're going to see is that the K10 reference changes as we pull the formula down because of the way Excel kind of maps data. But the K3 is going to be locked in place. You can see there's that. And then it continues to drag down and drag down and drag down. Now you might be thinking, wow, that's really useless or that's broken, but there's actually values in how we do that. We'll be explaining some of that when we talk about building out some functions and some lists for tracking maybe truancy in your department, or late ins or sick calls. There's ways to use that formula locking to make sure that as you build data sets that everything adds up just right. So it's okay if you're a little confused on cell locking. That's going to come over time as you use it effectively in a lot of different formulas. Let's talk about cell formatting for just a second. Cell formatting is also a big one because it can affect how your formulas work. You can see that this number 100 is actually changed in each one of these cells. Now, let me expand these real quick. There we go. The general format, which you can see up here in this box, will show you the number 100. If we turn it into a number, you can see it change it to the number format. We will have 2 decimal points, right? Well, a decimal point and 2 digits afterwards. If you want something to display less or more digits, you can just click one of these two buttons here. You can see we have none or we have way too many. Currency is when the dollar sign or other currency signs start to occur. The accounting format will also include currency signs, but it will also change the way that negative numbers are looked. You can see these are all positive, and if we do negative currency here, negative 100, it puts the negative sign. Whereas in accounting, it puts the parentheses on either side of it. That's just a typical accounting practice. You'll get to know more of that as you see different videos or different data sets that have data displayed that way. Another thing that can change is dates. You can see we have short date, 4/1/2021, and we have a long date, Thursday, April 1st, 2021. Excel looks at dates as just general numbers. For instance, if I turn this date to just general, you can see that our date is actually 44,287. And if we turn it to 44,288, and then we turn it back to long date, it now becomes Friday, April 2nd. So actually how numbers are formatted in dates is something that is really valuable when you build databases with tenure and long-term functions and year fraction functions. You'll see that in some of the videos we create. The next function is percents, right? 100%, 95%. If we were to type something like 100 right here, 100, and we turn it into a percent, it turns it into, 100,000. Because remember, percentiles are just decimal points. So we actually have to put in 0.95 to get 95% and 1 to get 100%. 100. Converting a number to a percent can typically mess it up or change the way it's valued. So just make sure you keep an eye for that when you're changing around your number formatting. The next thing is color styles. Now, color styles don't really play a huge role in how formulas work. Like there's no function that allows you to say, look for a green color and do this. Although I've seen some really tricky ways on how to do that, and there are plenty of people online who find those ways. For us, colors really are just there to make things look pretty and to give us quick key indicators. You can see up here on this styles bar, there is a lot of different pre-built color accents. And I like using these for stuff like inputs or linked cells, as they're really kind of traditional and standard in the business or educational settings. So remember to use some color, but not way too much. Looking at your spreadsheet should not be an eyesore. It should really be easy to point out what's red or what's green or what's in between. So understanding color styles is more of a preference, but we will be using it in some of our videos. That's the general functions that you should have and the kind of core ideas and concepts that you'll need to know as you dig into some of the other video content we've created. Make sure that if you're ever confused about kind of cell referencing or color or shading, that you either check out this video or a few others that are going to help explain these functions. So hope you found that useful, and we'll see you in the next one.